Hey, everybody. I have a message here for someone that started something or was going towards a goal or a project that fizzled out, whether due to motivation or an external thing. And the message at the end is to start again. So here we go. In the very beginning, when I was trying to uh, light my sage, it was very difficult to start. And then when I put it in my little chimney, the smoke, it was not getting a draft, and it was if you know anything about starting a fire in a fireplace, if we don't have that draft, the smoke's going to come back into the house. And here, it was pulling air in and then pushing it out. Kind of like trying to drain a water pipe or using a gallon jug. And if you just turn it all the way upside down, it's going to let water out, it's going to suck air back in, and then let water out. It's going to gulp. So there's no flow here. At that time, I heard a brief backup alarm. So we need to come back to something. And then what came through is go back to start again, which is difficult to hear at times. If we had a plan and we were moving forward and we thought it was all going to work out and it didn't, go back to see what did I miss. Uh, then what came through is not a failure, just a new perspective, which, excuse me, times in my life, if I'm trying to do a project or something and I can't see it through, I get very frustrated, obviously. And you take a step away, and those 5 minutes, you come back, you do see it differently, and then you can get through it. And what came through then was missing one key piece. Just be. To start again, and then the word significant came through. To start again. So, referencing our cards then, which we'll do a little bit later here, uh, was really focusing on the idea that we started a project and we were putting a lot of energy into it. And we weren't seeing the results that we wanted, or we hit a roadblock and then we just fizzled out. We gave up. Those roadblocks could have been internal or seeking some sort of external validation that what we put in, is going to reflect back to us, however that may look. Referencing my word of the day came through. That was passion to purpose and frequency. And what I spoke about was, excuse me, our passion. And if we have a passion, usually excited about it. And if someone asked you about what you're passionate about and you really are passionate about something, you could probably talk about that for days. And you'd have a lot of energy, uplifting energy. You're excited about it. You love it. Talking about it, doing, writing, whatever it may be. This is a hobby, a passion. And bringing that into purpose would be a life goal for many. It won't feel like you're working at all if that's the case. But trying to see that through, we normally knock ourselves down and we say, oh, that's impossible. But here it seems like someone made a go at it. And by doing so, they probably weren't seeing the results that they wanted, or maybe they were being rejected in some way. And that led to a frustration or giving up or hitting a roadblock maybe in the outer world. How can I make this work? The closing statement was believe in yourself, believing in that you have the tools and all the abilities already in us. And that's hard to hear when we see an impossible way to get somewhere. How am I fit for this? How can I do this? And I like the analogy of, I want to get from A to B, and there's 13 steps in the middle. And normally, to feel safe, we want to know all the steps. And we want to know that we're going down the right path and we're getting these reassurances at step 4 and then step 5. Like, we want all that. But it's not always the way it works, especially when we have an idea of how it should look. And then when we get to that place, we feel comfortable or reassured. But we have to remove that in between, those steps. Maybe we'll do step 11 before step 3. There's when we connect or attach to an outcome or a process to the outcome, Sometimes we hold ourselves back because we think we can't go to step 7 until we complete step 6. Or we're already there and we don't even know it because it didn't take place the way that we thought it should. With our supporting cards here, we have Queen of Wands first, passion, creativity, and confidence. We're looking at this, going back to my word of the day, I think this project or plan or goal really did have to do with a passion of ours, which is a great fuel. I mean, we already love it, we enjoy it, and we're putting all this into it. And we had Page of Wands reversed. Creativity blocks, loss of spark, or a startup that failed. And I'm guilty of this. I'd have ideas and then dump a whole afternoon into researching things, and then I'd start thinking logically, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, look at that. That's going to be a headache to deal with, or no one's going to pay for that, or whatever it may be. And then I just gave up. But you have all this information that you gathered and you have everything figured out, and then that one thing turned you off for some reason. Why? Did it seem impossible? Is it something we didn't want to deal with? Did it have to do with presenting ourselves in a way that we didn't feel intelligent enough or confident enough to portray, or no one's going to believe us, or no one's going to look at me because I don't have this degree or that or this, whatever it may be? What was it that turned us off? Looking back at our message, we're missing one key part. Looking at that smoke or the water analogy, is everything we need is right here. I had the air to make that jug pour properly, or to allow the smoke to go up the chimney. The air is here, it's everywhere. But the way I was trying to do it was wrong. I shouldn't say wrong and like shame on you. We were trying to do it in a way, if I would have opened the door or a window, I would have had a draft, air to take the smoke up. If I'm pouring this gallon jug up here, if I just turn it back a little bit and let the same amount of air come in and the water, I'm going to have a smooth stream of water coming out. So it's, from past experience, it was never as bad as I thought it was. Working on anything that I got frustrated and it wasn't working the way that I thought it should work or how I wanted it to work, I took those 5 minutes and I got it done, however it was. But taking a step back and coming and looking at it, it was like, oh, why don't I try this? It's more or less intuitionally, a different idea came to mind. And I got through it. And then I forgot about it and I moved forward. Our next card, 7 of Pentacles reversed. Frustration, impatient, giving up too soon, or my efforts aren't paying off, which makes sense. That's super defeating. If we're putting a whole bunch of energy into something and we're not getting the results that we want, that feels like rejection. I get that. I'm not taking that away. But to keep striving forward, or to keep showing up, to keep that fire going is difficult. Like I said, if I spent all that afternoon putting all this information and gathering all this stuff, figuring everything out, and I couldn't stop, like it was, gung-ho into something, and then I hit that roadblock and it's like, pooh, completely depleted, defeated, I give up, stupid, shame on me, however you may well look at it. I've been there before. But if it's your passion, don't stop. It shouldn't feel like work. And that kind of comes into our next card here. 4 of Pentacles, materialist, stability, security. This could act as if we were trying to, like, say we were working like a normal job, which stinks, but it's the situation that we may find ourselves in. Say we quit that and we were trying to bring this passion to support us, and that we may have rushed something because we need that security, we need that finance. Or this started out as a passion and then it's not a passion, it's now about money, which takes away that fuel, that passion. that enjoyment, because we're doing it for a different reason. We're not doing it because we love it anymore. We're doing it for a reward, and trying to force that is taking away from the passion, and it's creating this machine to produce something that isn't going to be valid because it's not a passion at that point. Did make some more notes on that. Like, we could look at it as stagnation, unwilling to change. This goes back to the step idea, A to B, 13 steps in between. When we only see it a certain way that it can take place. And if it doesn't, maybe that's why we gave up. We were unwilling to see it a different way. We wanted it to go this way and it didn't. So I guess it didn't work. I'm going to give up. I need money now. I'm going to get a job. But you should start again. There is like when I was talking about my word of the day, it had frequency. Our word of the day was frequency, but our angel card was passion and purpose. And when you look at the frequency, obviously most people understand that you have to meet the match. If I'm vibrating here, I'm only going to be able to experience the same. And to manipulate the system, say you did quit your job and you tried to do your passion to create a purpose, and you're not seeing the financial rewards that you want. Okay, manipulate the system, because that is a tough thing to heal. Lack of being able to support yourself for your basic needs. Housing, food, shelter, whatever is needed that's basic. That is a difficult thing to let go of. So manipulate the system by getting a job to get you by right now, but still with the plan that you're going to make this purpose, your passion, your purpose. So that's going to make you feel safe to say, okay, I have flow, but if I'm doing this job, I won't have time for this. That's okay. You have your spare time. And in your spare time, it's your passion again. And then when your passion gets rolling, then we go back into it full time if that's in alignment with your situation, because we can't really just let go of that lack. If somebody has, I don't know how. We need to feel safe for our basic needs. I don't think there's any freaking magic that's going to, unless you're selling something to someone. We're not getting into that. But we need to feel safe. And if you want to manipulate it, like I said, you get a job, so then you're going to feel safe. I'm providing for myself that I can eat, have a place to sleep, bathe myself, all the basic needs. And then start again on this passion project, Go for it. You already have the love for it. You have the energy. And it's like, well, I don't want to go through the whole process again of the job, but it'll make you feel safe. It'll take you to a place, but you still have the goal. It's like, I'm getting out of here at some point. And I'll do that when I'm comfortable. And stick with the passion. And when we return our love and excitement to the passion, instead of it starting out that way, and then instead it leads to, I need to produce to survive, that is not a very good frequency, and it's not going to be what it wants to be or what you want it to be. I did ramble on about that, but a little bit of everything in there. So with that, it's simple. We were just seeing one missing piece, and to start again. Failure does suck, but it doesn't mean we're any less of a person. We had a good idea. It just didn't work the way that we wanted to see it work. It doesn't mean it won't work. Remove the steps in between. Have a point A and point B, and let the rest fall into place. So with that, I wish everyone the best, and take care.